All right. Well, looks like we got everyone who's dialed in is connected to their audio, so we'll go ahead and kick things off. But I wanted to thank you guys all for coming. I see a lot of familiar names on this list, so you guys know the drill. You're used to this. We're happy to have you back. I see a lot of names that have been here for each session as well. So huge thank you to you guys for coming to those. We're glad that you're enjoying these and getting a lot out of them. So with all that said, I'd like to welcome you to the IAAO Leadership Symposium, a virtual webinar series. Today, we are focusing on our admin department as well as our PCS department. I was just teasing Larry a little bit ago. I'm excited because this is the one I could make up the least about. So I'm really happy we have some experts here to share what they do and share some of their work with you guys to answer some of those questions. As you know now, this symposium really is to serve a purpose for you guys, not only to know and learn more about what these departments do, but we want you guys to take something away from this, something you can learn from them that you can apply in your own offices, whether it's just best practices or some tools that these departments may be using. But we want this to be as interactive as you guys need it to be. So ask those questions. Don't feel like you're interrupting at all. We want you guys to ask any of those and learn as much as you can. So take something away from this today, hopefully. But we're excited to wrap up this whole virtual series with two of the most vital departments in our company. So again, our purpose is to share that information with you guys, the chapter and affiliate leaders, to converge and learn about IAAO offerings. And we'll go through some introductions here in just a moment of those departments. As you know by now, GSA has been awesome to help bring this event to you virtually. If you're not familiar, we usually offer this in person. With everything going on this year, we were unable to do that, but we really wanted to still bring you this information. And so we're excited to put together this whole series. If you didn't get a chance to see some of the other episodes, we have those all on our YouTube channel on a playlist. So you can check out each department and their video recordings. And today is being recorded as well. So you can revisit that at any time. So a huge thank you to GSA for making that possible. For more information about them, head on over to www.cama.io. I feel like we should turn this into a quiz at some point because you guys probably have this all down, but it seems like a silly question at times, but when you look at this list of what departments IAAO has, sometimes it can seem a little bit longer than you think when you really list it out. But you've heard from membership, you've heard from our professional development, meetings, marketing and communication, and technology. And today you get to hear from our administration department as well as our professional consulting services. It is a finely oiled machine. It takes all these departments. There's a lot of crossover in terms of working on projects. So we all wear a lot of hats, but each of us have a very vital role in putting together these projects such as this presentation today. So to kick things off, we are going to focus on the administration department. That includes Ashley Lathrop, Deputy Chief Financial Officer, and Allison Weber, Staff Accountant. Allison is a bit under the weather today, so she won't be joining us, but we will turn it over to Ashley Lathrop to take over and talk a little bit about the administration department and what he does.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. It's good to see everybody online today. My hope anytime we do these is just so you can walk away with a couple nuggets, maybe a couple things, look at them a little differently than how you do them now. So we're going to go over a couple things here in admin. First is separation of duties. And so this is something auditors look for whenever you go through audits. And it's also something that is good in terms of internal control. So the person who is opening your mail for your chapter or your affiliate, whenever you're processing dues payments, should not be the same person who's actually entering the payments. That is something our auditors go over a lot with us every year. They always want to see that chain of command, what that process looks like, because it's a situation where it could fraud could incur because that same person is doing both those jobs. So that's one of those separation of duties things that you should really look at and really have a good process in place for your different groups. Also, the same thing, I know with us, COVID has changed a lot in terms of our processes for paying bills too, not only receiving but also paying. So we do a lot of online bill pay for IAAO. So just like you do personally, where you go online and you pay your bills online, that's how we're paying a lot of ours now. The same person who enters can't also be the one who approves. So you need to, again, have checks and balances. So Allison will be the one who actually enters it into our bank software. I'll turn around and approve it. That way, again, we have just separation and good processes in place to make sure that the duties are separated there so when the auditor comes, they don't have any questions. Financial reporting for your groups at a minimum of every quarter, and I would recommend every month if you can. Your board or whoever runs your group needs to see a balance sheet. You need to see an income statement. You need to see changes in equity. And you see cash flow. Like, you need to see that on a regular basis, because if you don't, you may trust the person doing your books, but that's still just as a fiduciary, with the fiduciary responsibility of being on a board of one of these groups, you need to make sure that you're seeing that, so you're taking care of the dollars. So those are the four gap statements that you need to see at a minimum of a quarter, if not more, and go into questions and ask, go in and ask as many questions you can if you don't understand what they mean, okay? And then Allison was going to talk about check signers and physical controls. So we do, whenever we actually cut a check, we have dual signers at IAAO. And what that means is you're going to have multiple people looking at every payment. And so it's not just one person. And it also goes back to that separation of duties. So the person who cuts the check cannot be a check signer, because you don't want them to be able to cut a check and then sign it and do that entire process. So that's something you need to look at internally as well for your different groups. And then physical controls, I mean, that's exactly like it sounds. Like, what do you have in place to protect the assets of your different groups? How do you where do you keep your important documents that that relate to your chapter, to your affiliate? It kind of extends a little bit with as many people as working remote. Does everyone who has access to your information, are you sure of their security in terms of cybersecurity? So all those things are important as the world evolves, as the world changes. We see more and more opportunities for, cybersecurity violations, everything else like that. So those are all important factors to keep in mind whenever you're setting up all your processes for your chapter affiliate. Okay, so those are the four things. Like I said, we could talk about this for long periods of time, but really it's checks and balances are really important. You need to make sure that if you have a treasurer in your group, you need to make sure it changes every once in a while. If you have an auditor, make sure it changes every while. Make sure you have an external audit, or at least different people looking at your books every year. It's whenever one person controls it for too long is never usually get in the most trouble. So make sure that you have multiple people looking at it. Make sure your board understands what their responsibility is as a fiduciary, and make sure that you have those checks and balances in place.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. If anybody has questions as we move throughout, feel free to shoot those in the chat box. And just a reminder for anyone who joined a little bit late, since we're in the screen share mode, your menu is in the top of your screen. You'll just open up that chat box and the participants window if you want to unmute yourselves. But thank you, Ashley, for diving into that. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to send those our way. So moving into our second department that we're covering today is the professional consulting services. You may have heard them referenced as PCS as well. Is a dynamic duo of Larry Clark, the Director of Strategic Initiatives, and Paul Bedancet, Valuation Research Project Manager. To kick things off, I'm going to pass it on to Larry Clark. Take it away, Larry.
Thank you, Daniel. To give you a little background, I served over 20 years in 3 different local jurisdictions and did quite a few different chores, as many of you have, ranging everything from ratio studies to building valuation models and in one of the jurisdictions, I ran an in-house reappraisal project, which required us to install and implement a new CAMA system. So PCS, or technical assistance, was a natural fit for me. And it's been interesting, because what we do at IAAO is, when a local jurisdiction calls in with a problem, we try to match our team of consultants to that particular problem and that particular area. So we try to find someone who's close to your jurisdiction with the skills necessary to solve the problem that you're currently having. And those problems may range from wanting someone to run, an independent person to run a ratio study, to helping build valuation models, to even helping write an RFP for either a new CAMA system or a complete reappraisal. So we, during the time I've been with IAAO, have done projects all over the United States. Probably one of the biggest was in Cook County. We also worked with the city of Detroit. And as Paul will indicate in his part of the discussion, we have done quite a few projects in other areas. Following along with what Ashley did, the two things that I would like you to take away, first of all, is if you have an issue and you would like another set of eyes looking at it, please feel free to call. Our rates, what we charge for our services, are right in the middle. We try to be not the lowest, but we also try to be not the highest in terms of consulting services for local jurisdictions. So call us if you have an issue, and we'll try to match a consultant with your needs. Secondly, we're always looking for consultants, people in the profession who are willing to share their skills and talents with someone else. And again, like I said earlier, we won't ship you out to some far distant jurisdiction, especially now with COVID and the pandemic going on. But we would try to match your skills to the problem in a local area so that you can help out your fellow assessors in solving some of their issues. So that, in a nutshell, is professional consulting services. As Ashley indicated, I could talk all day on different projects we've had, but that's basically it. And I'll turn it over to Paul.
Thank you, Larry. Hi, I looked at the participants. I know a lot of you guys already. Nice to see you again. A little bit about my background. I started off as my official title was Real Estate CAMA Modeler Analyst. So what that translated to was creating mass appraisal valuation models, creating comparable sales algorithms, creating maps and ratio studies and different analytical measurements that were used throughout the office. Since then, when I came aboard full-time with IAAO, I began consulting with Larry with jurisdictions. So a lot of the actual work that I do now, I still do a lot of mass appraisal, model creation and calibration, fine-tuning or updating adjustments if properties are not pricing in line with the market. As Larry mentioned, a lot of appraisal quality control, specifically ratio studies. So making sure that all of those pesky median ratios and CODs and PRDs, making sure that they're in line with the standards set forth by the IAAO or local statutory requirements, and also helping jurisdictions figure out why why some of these ratio studies may indicate that the values are drifting from the market. I also help with specifically GIS, so any sort of digital mapping or any sort of adjustments that go along with mass appraisal, creating location adjustments, etc. And any other sort of spatial analysis, looking at data on a map that could help jurisdictions, improve accuracy of appraisals, improve the speed and efficiency of reassessment projects, etc. I also work with a lot of, specific one-off issues. A jurisdiction may be interested to find out how, for example, windmills may be impacting agricultural values in a certain part of their jurisdiction. So we can help, find out or do the heavy lifting for some very specific and sometimes peculiar research. So we have, between me and Larry and the expert researchers that we work with, those are always some very fruitful endeavors. Also, staff training and education. So any of these matters, what the ethos kind of behind professional consulting at IAAO, we don't ever want to create an environment where the jurisdiction's not able to move on and grow themselves, where they're dependent upon the consultant indefinitely. So we really have a lot of pride and focus on not only doing this stuff to help jurisdictions get running, but also make sure that they can run it with not as much oversight and cost associated with it after professional consulting is done. So I believe that's all I have. So I'll go ahead and turn it on over to the next slide. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So wanted to open the floor up for questions for anybody who, whether it's your first time, learning about these departments or hearing from them, or you're calling us every day, like Paul mentioned, he's knows a lot of you guys. So whether it's your first time hearing about them or you're, used to working with them in some capacity, we'd love for you guys to toss any questions our way. Feel free to unmute yourselves as well and just kind of interrupt and holler at us. We want the floor to be yours. So go ahead and take a look at the chat here if anybody has any questions. I don't have any sent directly to me. Does anybody have? I'll give it just another moment here if anybody wants to throw anything our way. We're pretty easy to ask questions to. I promise we won't bite. There's no dumb questions at all. All right, you guys are easy today. You guys are really easy. Well, that does actually pretty much wrap it up. So as I go into closing, I just want to let you guys know, toss anything our way. If I catch it, we'll answer it for you. But this series has been really exciting to be able to bring to you guys. This is our final chapter, if you will, of this series. But it doesn't mean that you guys, don't have the chance to keep communicating and reaching out to us. We want this to serve as a step one, letting you know about all the departments, what they do, how they can help you, and hopefully you can learn something from them to take away, and vice versa. We've learned some stuff from you guys, sending in some of your chat comments, things you're using or utilizing. Everyone's been through a tough year in 2020 in various ways, and so we're all collectively working together to make it out of that and come out strong on the other side. So we can't thank you enough for your participation in not only the series, but just everything with IAAO. We can't do it without you guys. We wouldn't be in association without the members. So we really, really appreciate it. But like I said, this is step one. So continue that conversation with us as we, move forward. We're looking to hopefully maybe do this in person next year, but if not, we'll be back again to share a virtual series in some capacity. So we'll go ahead here. Again, huge thanks to GSA for making this entire series possible. Thinking back, we started this earlier this year. It's kind of crazy to think that it's been, 6 or 7 months of this series going strong. Really excited to kind of, bring it to an end here. Looked like a steep project at first, but you guys have been a great audience and really interactive, and we can't thank you enough for that. So thank you to GSA for helping bring this project to life.
And then I'll add to that also,
Yeah,
Daniel. If there's anything, along these lines of, I know a lot of you are able to make a lot of these where you would like more information, or you wish we would have covered, but we didn't, or anything else, like feedback is always appreciated. I'll say this is the third way we've hosted this event, right? So in the beginning, it was a 2-day event in Kansas City. That was usually right before leadership days. It was a lot of information. And it was the one of the hard things with it was the audience it's hard to take 2 full days out of your schedule, fly into Kansas City. A lot of times the chapter or affiliate had to pay for it because we only had so much budgeted for reimbursements for those. The second time we had it was at conference. And so it was, some of you may remember, it was a couple hours on Sunday before conference. Again, like, hey, that was great because we got in front of additional people, but Sunday at conference is hard. For some people, that's the only time they can explore the city, or they have other commitments, so that makes it tough too. I like this format because it's almost like a lunch and learn, like it's a lot easier to fit 30 or 45 minutes out of your schedule to get a couple takeaways than it is a full 2 days, or something where it's a limited audience because of conference. So if you have any feedback for Jill, Daniel, or myself, please let us know. If there's information or additional topics you like covered, like we'd do anything to try to help you guys out. So please let us know what would be beneficial.
Absolutely. We always say, I think when we end our webinars, help us help you, and that applies here as well. Let us know what you need to know, and we'll do our best to bring that to you. We were excited to bring this overview. There's like Ashley said, we could talk about each of these departments for hours and hours and hours and get into the nitty gritty. So if there's a little avenue of one of these departments you'd like us to explore or dive into, or look at, we're happy to put something together, even if it's a quick email, or for the next time we do this or look to expand on this project, we can dive deeper into some of those topics. I know it's, like I said, I know it's been a crazy year, and we're getting our feet under us and getting back moving forward, and very excited about that. So we can't thank you guys enough. But with all of that said, I don't see any questions in my chat box. So again, thank you everyone for coming. We'll let you go a little bit early today. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and keep an eye out for an email from us to let you know when this becomes available on our YouTube channel, along with all the other videos. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.